All right, everyone, welcome back. Going into the second hour here of Balance of Power. Adam, what's going on?
Well, I feel like I'm only barely in control of what's going on right here. I feel like you Imperial Slime are in control. So why don't you tell me what's the plans here? You've got a helpless victim. You've got a crate full of rocket-propelled weapons, and you've got a newscaster guy on the way to interview you about the recent tragedy at Factory 49. So what happens? You've got, I would say, like, it'll take him maybe an hour to get there to the palace. So what prep do you need to do before that happens?
So I gather the team again. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. My connection was like, you have an unstable connection. So
you're good.
Yeah,
I gather everyone together and basically sit them down and say that now we can actually plan stuff out. I would love it if we could provide the footage that is so desperately needed to weasel our way into the Rebel Alliance with some voyeuristic filming of Elsa and I talking. And we set up sort of a big fake scene that involves the crumpled body of this young woman and Sam and I talking over her. And Pocket can do like I'm kind of in the room, but not. Maybe I'm like in the rafters or in a window recording a conversation that we're having. And it's going to be a conversation that is complete, it's the truth, but acted. So it's going to be us talking about how we found this girl, and yeah, she'll do, and we'll use her to pretend that she was the culprit of the attack. And that's sort of our plan.
Sounds like a good plan. So do you want to do that before Maxim Mardana shows up? Before you?
Yeah. So before that happens, and and we're going to set it all up, and then we are going to, I imagine, send Pocket off to go meet with the rebels. If not after, immediately after the interview takes place, but very soon, so she can have that evidence in hand, like, oh, they were liars.
Cool. Okay.
We're probably going to send her off during the interview.
So she won't be seen on the. Yeah.
So I think the plan is that we're going to discuss very loudly over the crumpled body that we need to wrap up our business within 3 days as the stormtroopers are pulling out from the palace, and it will be completely unprotected, and the moth will be at great risk. And we're intending to leave on that third day with the stormtroopers and leave the palace vulnerable. Is the coded message that we're going to leave in this conversation right before we do the public interview.
So the idea is that you want them to think you're basically setting up a trap so the rebels will attack the palace.
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to be like, aha, suckers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So what's stage one? Stage one is recording the.
Right.
Okay.
So we give Lana some sort of recording device, and I just tell her, find a place, where you would have hidden had you had to record something, and just sort of throw a recording device at her, and then we sort of drag the slumped girl into like the center of a room, and position ourselves so that both Belsa and I can be seen.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. So you set the scene, you and Belsa and this knocked out vendor, and where do you shoot this from, Lana?
Okay. So I'm curious. Should I maybe disguise myself as some reporter or something?
Oh no! Like we're filming this all in advance, and so you're just gonna have the footage. You just need to find a place to hide, so it looks like you're stealthily taking this footage. Like
basically,
you need to find a good
you're
bench.
You're filming it guerrilla style from like a rose bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
I'm probably outside, like looking like a ninja, taking footage of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, nobody will really notice, right? Like, there's not a lot of like grounds keepers around or like anything like that. So, okay, cool. So let's have. I think that all three of you are complicit in the roll. It's going to be a deception roll. It sounds like it's Theron's plan, basically. So I'm gonna get you to roll it, Theron. So you're gonna roll deception. And I'll give you 2 advantage dice, one for each of your assistants. So your dice pool should have 2 blue dice, and your intent for this roll, like if you succeed, you'll get the thing that you want. So your intent here is to what? This should lure the rebels into the trap, or is this should be enough to get Lana into their good graces, right? It should be sufficient.
What we're trying to do is we're not specifically trying to say, hey, there's going to be a bunch of guys leaving. The goal is to make it convincing, and it's the truth, but just to accurately portray that we have taken a random person off the street, accused them of being the culprit, and are going to murder them on live TV.
Perfect. Yeah.
And at the same time, at the very end, maybe Belsa can like say, in 3 days' time, this will all be over anyway, and we'll be out of here. Something like that. Like, not a bunch of information, but just a real quick line so that Lana can fill in the blanks later about stuff she learned. And that way she can relay that and be like, oh, yeah, no, I caught all this information. So we don't have to pretend and act. Like, because I don't want to risk us being awful actors.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's just say difficulty 2 then. So put 2 purple dice in there.
Okay.
2 purple, 2 blue, and then go ahead.
Use a destiny dice.
Click deception. Yeah. Do you want to use the destiny?
I mean, my
It's
deception's really high.
Okay. It's kind of an important roll. It's the only thing.
Yeah, we can if you want.
I'm fine with it.
I'm all right with
Upgrade
it.
1. All right, we'll upgrade 1.
Fucked up later.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right.
So put in 1 upgrade, and then also before you do any rolling, click the use light side. So it throws a point at me. Yeah, there we go. You got it.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your deception. All right. So without any successes, the intent, like it's not going to be
How did
enough.
you fail that, man? You have 3 fucking yellow.
He rolled really badly on the difficulty dice. So it'll be a start and it'll be an advantage for the next, but she's going to take it to them and they're going to be like, nope, we're going to need more than this. This is a good start, but we'll find that out when she takes the evidence to them.
Well, then I'll have to make the execution extremely gruesome then.
You will. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to.
In any way?
What?
Can I not assist this roll in any way, Adam?
You did. Yeah, both of you did.
Okay.
That's why the 2 blue dice were a part of it. Yeah. So it's of high value for the rebels, but it might not be quite what they need. And we'll play that out when Lana takes it back to them. So you film this scene. The woman is unconscious or very narrowly conscious for part of it. She does her part by like moaning in pain a couple of times, and you get some evidence of Imperial wrongdoing. And then I think that when you're finished, or as you're coming to the end, you hear the house like intercom make the chime that you have a guest, and that the newscaster has arrived.
I grab sort of like grab up everything that I need in order to look presentable. Like if my jacket was off or whatever, I'm not sure. But look very Imperial, and tell Belsa, grab the girl, bring her with us, and walk out the door to go greet the guys from the news channel.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you reach the door, there are the stormtroopers that have been set up. They've escorted in the team, and the TNN team is 3 floating like camera droids, and a newscaster. And the newscaster, Maxim Mardana. He's actually like a protocol droid. He's like bright silver, very like nicely painted up, and he's got the TNN kind of like splash across his chest plate. And he comes up and he sees, I guess, you, Theron, and he says, Agent Talon, I presume. Like puts out a metallic hand to you.
I just sort of give him an up and down stare. And finally, after a long, awkward period of time, reach out and shake his hand and say, "Can't wait to get started."
And he says, "Good. First, though, we'll need to take a look around." And he kind of does one of these around the palace. And he's like, "Unless you had a particular place in mind that you prefer for the interview, we're very excited to talk to you, and I want you to look your best."
Theron gives a little chuckle and says, "Here is good."
Okay, so you set up in the room, and he says he's just making small talk with you while one of the camera droids like floats in front of you, and the lens that's got on the front flips over, and then it's a mirror, and little like arms come out and start applying like makeup to you, so you're getting like powder and like doing your makeup while he's talking to you. And he says, "I've been in the palace a number of times, and every time it just blows me away. This imperial architecture, real ominous stuff."
Ominous indeed. And he just sort of smiles as like makeup is being smeared on him.
Yeah, he's like, "That Palpatine, he sure knows how to run an authoritarian regime, doesn't he?" Just a little joke. And he like kind of pokes you in the shoulder, like.
He does. Yeah, stone face, just stuff is applied to him. He doesn't even like budge.
Yeah, so he says, "So this should be quick. We're just trying to get an official word on things. We've got some folks down in the South Continent talking with the Moff, and we're going to be running a special report on him. But for now, I want to see who you are, Agent Talon, and what you have to say about this whole situation. Tragedy, real tragedy. What happened? Many human lives lost. Terrible when humans die."
Theron just looks around and then says, "Tell me when you're ready."
And and the droid nods and like kind of walks away a little bit, and he starts doing like vocal warm-ups as he's like walking around. He's like, Theron Talon, Agent Talon, hello, Agent Talon. And he's just kind of like muttering to himself, kind of like warming up his performance circuits. And it comes back around, and the 3 camera droids kind of back off, and they start shining light in the area. And so now for you, it's hard to see kind of like outside of the little like blob of light that you're in. The drones are kind of like putting these bright lights in your face, and you can see the droid though, nice and clear, and he's sort of standing next to you. And he says, "Now, Agent, this is a family show, so let's keep the cursing to a minimum, shall we?"
I abhor vulgar words. Don't worry, it will be fine.
And he says, "All right, and if you need to, step out for the biologicals or anything, you just give me a nudge, and I'll talk us out." And he looks to the cameras and kind of like shuffles a little bit. You see him like settle into this like casual mode. And where's everybody else outside the kind of pool of light right now?
Did they make it back to the rocket launchers?
Yeah. Otto, the rocket launchers are like in another room.
Okay. If we do a short flashback, I guess right before Theron goes back in, I come up and maybe whisper in his ear and say like, "Sir, the rocket launchers, when do you need them?"
I just tell him to be ready and to bring one.
Okay. And I just walk back into the room.
And Lana and Elsa, where are you? And where I assume the two of you are with your new friend.
So Belsa's kind of waiting in the doorway of the room where everything's being filmed, and just behind her you can see like the shoulders of 2 stormtroopers.
Okay.
So she's planning to kind of come in on cue. because we don't want to like. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you want the interview to begin and stuff to go live before we reveal the big surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lana, where are you at?
Is my mic working?
It is. It's just very
Yes.
quiet.
I don't know how to make it louder.
Move it closer.
Is it working?
Yay!
That helps.
Yeah.
Am I even supposed to be in here?
No, you should be on your way to the rebels.
Oh, okay. So I got the footage from you and I just pieced out.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay, so I think that's what we see. Like we get a shot of Lana like getting into a droid, like an automated cab, heading off to meet the rebels. And then we cut to we diagonal wipe to like the TNN like opening splash. You know, it's like all the news that's fit to air, and it shows like a long broad sweep of terrace and like the palace with the sun rising behind it and the imperial flag and like all this stuff, the big fanfare and the trumpets and everything. And then it fades in on Maxim, M4MXM, the news droid. And he, he's standing here, and we can see the Imperial Palace behind him. We don't see Theron, and he says to the camera, he says, "Good morning, Terrace. We have a very special interview for you in our continuing coverage of the tragedy of Factory 49." And at the bottom, we see like the death toll counter, like as it slowly like confirmed deaths, like slowly like rising, like one at a time. And he says, "Now we know everyone's very concerned about what happened in the South Continent. And we know you're all waiting to hear from our governor, Mafrilkad, but I have a special guest tonight who hopefully is going to shed a little bit of light on this terrible tragedy. With me tonight, Agent Theron Talon." And he like turns and we see you. And what's the look on your face the first time the people, like, 'cause this is live, it's broadcasting live on screens everywhere. What's the first thing that we see when we see?
Oh, the coldest death stare there ever was. Like someone who doesn't give a shit that he's on TV.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And so so the overlay, like it's you, and there's a little like name tag underneath, like Agent Theron Talon. And then there's a spot underneath where like your title or whatever the bureau you work for would normally be, but they don't know, so it's just blank. And there's just the big Imperial gear.
Part of me, if this was a different character, really just wants to walk through the door right now and then just carry the missile launcher across the back, and then realize this is the wrong time, and then just circle back around and walk out the door.
Oh boy! Oh.
But Otto wouldn't do that. He wouldn't fuck it up. But I just thought that was a really funny moment. That's why I kept laughing to myself.
Boom in the shot.
Yeah.
All right. So so he turns to you and he says welcome to the TNN, Agent Talon. Tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, for all those viewers at home that might not be familiar with your service record to our glorious empire. Who is Agent Talon?
Citizens of the Empire, my name is Theron Talon. I am from the Imperial Security Bureau.
And so while you're saying this, I think that we cut away from like an immediate shot of your face to like outside in terrace, and like there's this huge screen with your face on it and like loudspeakers like blaring, and all of these people like huddled around it in the light, like looking up at this giant, death's head face, listening to you. So crowds are starting to form and that kind of stuff.
In recent days, the rumors on this planet, among many others, that the rebellion has won a major victory against the Empire, that the Empire is over, remain only rumors. We have come to this planet, like many others, to confirm that the Empire is still in control, still will be in control, now and forever. In recent hours, Factory 49 has come under attack by terrorists, but the ISB marches on. We have confirmed the location of these terrorists and captured the one responsible. And I signaled to Belsa to bring out the knocked out girl.
Belsa immediately looks over her shoulder, and you hear the clicking of heels and then some stormtrooper boots marching along. The first stormtrooper appears and just props down a chair, and the second stormtrooper props down the unconscious girl, she's regaining consciousness now.
She's got a big gash in her face where she was pistol whipped, and there's blood dripping down her face and stuff. And I think at this point we see the big screens outside. And maybe Lana, you're getting out of the cab that you were in, and you look up and you see on one of these big screens, you see Belsa and Theron and this woman, and the crowd is there's a gasp that runs through the crowd, and people all whispering and trying to figure out oh, who's this woman? What's going on? She doesn't look like a terrorist. And so this kind of the crowd is buzzing with sort of nervous energy.
Okay, the stormtrooper straps her arms behind the chair so she's stuck, and they leave the scene, and Belsa, hands behind her back, just kind of takes point just to the side but behind Theron.
So as this is going on, I think I'm walking to the place where I met Greenskin, but I'm gonna stop right before I walk in and just watch.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so you're in the middle city, and so the screens aren't as big or pristine or at such obvious propaganda locations. You're standing outside a cantina, watching a sports bar kind of thing. You're watching through a window, and there's a bunch of people crowded around with drinks, kind of nervously watching this broadcast. And down in the middle city, people are much angrier about this, right? They're people are shouting and booing the Empire, and immediately people are no, she's innocent. They can't be. They're lying, filthy Imperials, and getting kind of riled up. So meanwhile, back in the palace, so you've set down this woman, and Maxim says, "What an interesting development! I didn't expect a second guest on the show. Tell me, Agent, who is this woman?"
This young woman, much like the rest of you, was presumably a proud citizen of the Empire. But she harbored a dark, secret hatred for those who are doing nothing but trying to restore order in this chaos. She was found in a simple vendor stand, hiding this, and I point and then signal Otto to bring out the rocket launcher.
I just force open the door a very dramatic entrance, and then walk in with the most exact march with the rocket launcher at my side, and I'm in my full.
So when Maxim sees you, Otto, I think only Theron hears this. He says very quietly. It's very quiet. Oh my.
Yeah.
And then you walk over with
the door basically just flies open, and I walk in with the most astute Imperial march, and stand next to Theron with the rocket launcher.
Okay.
Almost kind of like if you were an ROTC type unit where I have it at my side. Yeah.
Yeah, march in and just put it down.
Yeah.
So she was found with this. So Maxim turns to you and Theron says, well, that's going to make this next bit quite uncomfortable. I have something I need to show you, Agent. And the screens outside get a picture-in-picture of a grainy but clear enough shot of Otto. It's obviously a night vision camera. Otto holding his blaster rifle in the factory district. And Maxim says, we have some footage that was sent to us by a source last night. I'd like to play a video clip for you, if you will.
I look at somehow I signal to Theron to not show this video clip. Out of the corner of my eye, I just say, or I just nod side to side. I don't know if he sees it or if he.
Theron doesn't even like acknowledge that he's been talked to.
Yeah.
He just keeps going on about how this young woman was found with the rocket launcher, and that she's clearly responsible for it.
Sure. Okay. So while you're talking, the picture-in-picture, the smaller image is showing. It shows.
Oh, it's picture-in-picture. It's not full screen.
Yeah. It's picture-in-picture. So it shows, and they're cutting back and forth between like Theron talking and like Otto's face looking just kind of like stern and like.
I don't change. I keep a straight face
in the
entire
picture-in-picture. Yeah, it's like the camera is static. It's just showing one area. We see Otto come into frame. Put his back up against a wall, like look around a corner, adjust his like rifle, and then go into the alley. And then there's an obvious explosion. Like the camera like rattles and then goes to black. Right, it goes out.
All right. So Theron notices the footage and turns to Otto and asks him to state his name to the camera and what his rank is within the ISB.
Shit. What is my rank? We agreed I'm sergeant?
Yeah, I think you're a sergeant. Yeah.
Okay. So I just like very sternly look into the camera and say, I am Otto Mateen, sergeant of the Imperial Army.
And Theron grabs the rocket launcher and points what I assume there's probably some sort of Imperial information or like barcode or something stating that it was from the Imperial Armory.
Mm-hmm.
And then I show it to the camera and say, these are Imperial rockets from the Imperial Armory that was stolen 4 days ago. Otto was sent on a mission to recover said rockets. When it was discovered they were being used to destroy Factory 49. During the incursion, as you have seen, he recovered one said rocket, and while attempting to retrieve others, the explosion went off. When tracking the rockets down, we discovered this young woman was part of the team that stole said rockets. And the reason you see all this carnage before you. And he sort of gives the rocket back to Otto and asks him to walk off.
Yeah, I turn 90 degrees exactly and walk off.
There have been some lax policies here on this lovely planet in recent years, which is why we have been sent to restore order. No longer will the Imperial military stores be open to take what you will. No longer will the streets run with rebel colors. This planet is part of the Empire and will remain part of the Empire. And then I pull out my pistol.
Okay.
And point it at the girl's head and say, this is your planet. This is our planet. And we will not let rebels like this ruin that for us. No longer will we have sympathy. No longer will we have chaos. We will have order. And then I just blast her in the head.
Okay. So, yeah, you say, yeah, we'll have order, and you like pull the trigger, and back in the like cantina down in the middle city, Lana, you see this all like happen, and the broadcast cuts like right before. You could see that they were like hanging on just to make sure they could get as much of Theron's speech before, it wasn't a family broadcast anymore. And so then it cuts out right at the end, and there's sudden like quiet in the bar, and then it just like erupts in like angry shouting, and like they're like, I can't believe he killed that woman, and like they're starting to freak out. And yeah, the it gets quite tense in the area before you can move on. You're not like pulled into that, but yeah, you definitely like people in the streets are like getting riled up and angry about what happened.
I would say right as that happened is like when I walk in, like perfectly timed.
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's all fresh in their mind.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're waiting outside the cantina where Greenskin is.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So you head inside. Back in the palace. The Maxim, like he steps back, right? He's like startled by the blast. We cut right back into the trigger being pulled. Her body falls to the ground. Do you want to like leave it there, or do the stormtroopers come and pick it up and like drag her away?
Oh no, she's left there, and I. Are they still filming? Do they cut the feed?
No, it's off. Broadcast is off. Yeah.
I walk towards the droid and shout at him if you ever do anything like that again. And then I stick the blaster like under his little droid chin.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem ending you. You're not even worth half of what she was. And turn around and just walk away.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So he nervously like assembles his camera droids and escorts himself out. I think a couple of the stormtroopers like follow him out to the outside. And yeah, there's just this like dead body lying on the floor. Yeah, Otto and Belsa, you're both there. What do you say? What do you do? What's the next step?
I look at Belsa.
I like tell Otto to get in the back to tank.
Yeah, so the stormtroopers, I think, by now have like brought back a tank and started like setting it up for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so just
I
kind of
say,
like.
yeah, I look at you and say, you've got everything covered?
Yes, we're going to need you healed, so chop chop.
Okay. And then I just turn and walk very casually to the back to the tank.
Sure, yeah, you're like walking away, taking your jacket off. Okay, so the back to tank it's got enough for like a full day of recovery. It's got like clean back to for a full day of recovery. So that'll give you every 2 hours you spend in the tank, you get one wound back.
Okay.
So you need to spend 20, I guess, of the next 24 hours floating in the goo.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So let's find out how Lana's meeting goes. So Lana, you have like a data pad with the footage that you got before. You come into this bar and it's raucous and like people are shouting and like there are some people who are like, we should go up and like we should attack the palace right now, just like get everybody we got, and we'll like barricade the doors, and we're like, I don't care if there's stormtroopers, like, and they're all like a little drunk and they're like angry and kind of trying to figure out like what to do. And you move your way to the back, where one of the like bodyguards outside the sort of VIP area like sees you and kind of gives you a scowl. And I think he steps in front of you, puts his hand up, and he says, "Not a good time, sweetheart."
I look at him and is my volume better?
A little better.
Please tell me it's better.
You need
You're
some more
sound
gain
better.
on there. You need to pump the gain back up, but yeah.
Pump the gain.
I thought I did.
Pump that gain, girl.
Find the
Pump that
jams. Find the
Pump that
jams and
gate.
pump them up.
Yeah.
Is it better? Come on.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah,
There, that's better.
Okay. I immediately like I put my hand, or I have the tape in my hand, and I'm like, well, I think he'll want to see this.
And he shakes his head and he like reaches up to his little earpiece and he says, "Greenskin, yeah, it's her. She's back. Says she has something for you." And he kind of like scowls down at you and like steps aside.
I don't even like bother saying anything else to him.
Okay.
I just walk past him.
Okay.
Like I can't be bothered with this
Yeah,
guy.
totally. He's bouncers out of your way now. Okay. So you walk inside and you see the same. It's the same room as before with the stormtrooper helmets and like Greenskin is there, and he's talking to a couple of guys about something. They have like something on the table that they pull a sheet over when you come in, and they pull like a tarp
Do
over.
I get any glimpse of it at all?
Yeah, you can make a check to see if you get to piece something together. Let me take a look. I think if you make a
Can you use that advantage that we had? All that damn advantage we stacked up on that last roll?
no, that'll be for dealing with like interacting with rebels once they've gotten a chance to look at it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Make a vigilance check. Oh no, actually just make perception because it's not about waiting for like an ambush. This is just noticing something. So yeah, make a difficulty 2 perception check. So just put two purple dice in and then roll your perception. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't add the difficulty. You gotta add the 2 purple
I
ones.
thought I did.
Sometimes like if you just click it and then immediately click the thing, it doesn't register. You gotta click outside the box first and then it'll register.
Ooh.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So just reroll with the 2 purples.
She did.
You did. It went good.
You went blind.
We got some threat.
Yeah, you did. Okay, disadvantage. So take a strain. Take a bonus strain, and I think what happens is that you don't get to see what's there, but like one of Greenskin's like tough guys like sees you being nosy.
Yeah.
And he kind of like nudges you with his arm, and he's like eyes on the boss, and like looks over at Greenskin. So Greenskin is just to remind everybody, Greenskin's an Ithorian. They're the dudes with the big, like, long, kind of whale-looking heads with the eyes on the end, and they have this like weird like dual voice, like they talk at 2 different registers, and it like it's like standing really close to a really loud bass speaker. Like you can feel when he talks like vibrating. They can't speak in basic, but I think you probably can understand enough Ithorian to like have a conversation with him.
Okay. Well, I immediately hand him, if he allows me to walk up and hand him the thing. I hand him the tape and I say, I think I got some footage you'll want. Is this enough proof?
He holds it and he says, let's take a look, and like puts it in the into the table's like hollow projector. And while that's happening, some of his underlings are like taking whatever they covered up and they're moving it. So they put it in and it plays the hologram that you recorded. And they're kind of like, he's watching and nodding.
And I get like the whole the shaky cam. Like I'm clearly not a professional at this.
Yeah.
To try and make it a little more authentic.
Yeah. And he looks at you and makes the Ithorian equivalent of like a humming sound where he's just kind of like thinking, he's like, interesting. And kind of like looks back at it, especially given what just happened. So you're telling me this is all a setup?
And I look at him and I'm like, well, that's what the tape suggests.
And you realize what happens when we tell everyone about this, that they just killed an innocent woman on TV.
And I say, do what you gotta do. I gave you the proof. You wanted proof. That's what I came to do.
Yeah, he nods. That we did. And for what? You've come to fight with us then?
And I nodded, and I said, I've been looking for a way in for a while now.
Good. We need someone to kill that Imperial agent. How are you with a blaster rifle?
I pull out... oh gosh, I would just take this as a threat, but I pull out my vibro sword, and I'm like, I prefer this.
I think you reach for it, and a bunch of people like point guns at you. And then
as I'm like reaching for it, I'm like, oh, hold on, and I pull it out, and that's when I'm like, I prefer this, not a blaster.
He says, a vibro sword would certainly do the trick as well. More personal too.
And I sort of nod and I say, oh, it'll be personal.
You got close to him once. Can you do it again?
I nod to him. I say, I'll need time.
Good. Do this for us. Then we'll talk again.
As I put the vibro sword back, I sort of just look at all the people who are like have guns trained on me.
Yeah, and they're doing that thing where they're like, it's not like they have guns trained on you just to like show they're tough, but they like legit believe that you're scary, right? They're like, oh yeah, you could probably kill a bunch of us with that sword. Let's just like, you know, one of them like trembling a little, like, oh god, I hope she doesn't attack anybody.
Okay, so after he pretty much says that, I offer him comms info, a way to get a hold of me.
Yeah, he says we will contact you again soon. First, we must air a broadcast of our own. And he like looks down at the data you've given him.
Okay.
There will be chaos. Perhaps you can use that.
I look over at the stuff as they're moving it out of the room, and I say, looks like you guys already have something going on.
That's none of your concern.
And I shrug, and I'm like, well, maybe it's not, but if I'm on your side, you need to trust me as well.
Bring me the head of Agent Talon, and then we can talk.
My gosh. I think I stand there for a second, and I'm like, you know, it's not going to be that easy. I'm going to need some of you guys to come with me. I'm going to need backup. I'm going to need help. I'm not going to be able to do this alone. Like, you want me to bust into a palace by myself? It's not going to happen. I'm going to need help. I'm going to need some of your men or women.
What sort of help?
People on the ground. I need eyes. I need ears. I need people to come with me.
And you can see his like big bulbous eyes. They're like, you know, like the size, almost the size of your head. Like they like narrow down a little bit. And he takes like a step forward, and he's like a good, like probably half a meter to a meter taller than you. He's like a huge bulky dude. And he just like steps towards you and kind of like leans down. And he says, I'm not sure about you yet. And then you can see his eyes kind of like swivel around the room. But that's the price we pay sometimes in this line of business. I want you to make a roll. I want to see if he's gonna give you some dudes to help you.
Okay.
So let's say difficulty 3. So throw 3 purple guys in your pool, and you're gonna roll. You can roll a charm roll, and I'll give you an advantage die for the quality of your work so far.
Uh-huh.
And then if you want to, you can also spend a destiny point.
Which one's advantage? Is it green?
Yeah, they're technically called boost dice. They're the blue ones.
Oh, okay. Oh goodness. Because they want me to lure some of these guys back, and I need to make it. I don't know if I should spend a destiny though. I don't know if it's worth it. Because you already have 4 dark side.
I sure do.
I think I'm just gonna roll and see and hope for the best.
Okay. So you've got 1 in there. Yeah. Okay. So take 2 more strain. Right? Like you're just like sweating under your armor here.
I'm trying to hide it as much as possible. Okay.
Yeah, totally. And you do, right? Like you take the strain. And Greenskin, I think, yeah, he like hums again. He's like, and it like you can feel it like vibrating your organs. And then he gets up and he turns, and there's 2 guys in the corner. One of them's a Weequay, the other's a human. They're playing cards. He's like, you 2, and they like start like they haven't been paying attention, so they like start. And,
I immediately point to the one that's an alien. I say, not him.
And Greenskin turns and looks at you, and he's like, why not? You have a problem with aliens?
And I sort of like, just a smirk appears on my face, and I'm like, no, not me, the Empire. You want us to sneak in, we're not going to be able to bring aliens. They'll stand out too much. I need humans.
He sighs, and for an Ithorian, a sigh is like he like vents a bunch of air through his like side like gills. So he's kind of like, and he says, fine, and he turns.
I point.
And
How about I immediately point to like one of the females? Is there a female in the room?
Yeah. There's a bunch of like it's even like men and women.
Okay, so I point to one of the females and I'm like, I need her.
And he nods. Fine. Those two then.
Okay, I'll take it. And
Okay.
then I sort of look around the room and I say, okay, well, tomorrow. It's obviously too much unrest right now. People are upset. So tomorrow, we'll try to find a way in. I'll scope out the place.
Okay. So their names are the man's name is Verse.
Verse?
Yeah, and the woman is Cora.
Okay.
And these are some rebel types.
Okay.
When you're like, no, I need the human, the Weequay kind of like folds his arms, like, oh, I want to go on a mission. Like slumps down as his like his card partner like gets up and shrugs and just throws his cards on the table.
I don't really say anything else. Like I've done what I need to, so I just like turn around and start to leave.
Okay.
Just sort of like eyeballing the two that are going to be meeting me probably tomorrow.
Yeah. Those two grab weapons. They've got some like one of them has she has a poncho hanging off the coat rack, and she grabs it and puts a couple of pistols in her belt, and the guy grabs a blaster rifle.
Okay. Well, I look at both of them as I'm walking out, and I say, meet me by the gates to the upper city?
Yeah, the upper city.
Yeah, meet me by the gates to the upper city tomorrow, this time.
Okay.
I don't wait for them to respond. I just walk away.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. So they will. So meanwhile, back upstairs, what happens in the aftermath of the shooting? Like, what are you guys doing at the palace?
Well, I'm just chilling in the back to tank. So
yeah, you're floating in the back to tank.
am I conscious when I'm in that, or do I sleep?
No, you're in a state of like suspended animation.
Oh, okay.
You're floating there in your big puffy white underpants.
All right, I'm reliving war stories in my head then.
The big blue tube. Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, why don't we see that? Why don't we see like a flashback? Like, so we see Otto floating in the tank, and I think you're kind of like, you're in this sort of weightless goo, but you're like twitching slightly and like moving your head back and forth. Then we get a close up shot of your face, and we can see your eyes moving under your like eyelids.
Yeah.
And then it fades to like, where do we see Otto? Like, where is he?
I think it does like, it's not like it's a dream, so it's not one extended long thought. So like, it does the pan up of Otto like leaning on a rock with like one knee out, where like it's slowly doing the pan up of the rock. Then it cuts like back to an action scene, and I'm on Hoth somewhere, and like I have soldiers dropping to my left and right, but I charge forward.
There's like snow troopers like lying on the ground, blood splattering on the snow, and there's like the wind howling, and then like an ATST goes by all shadowy in the background.
Yeah, and then maybe like as stormtroopers are like dropping to the left and right, like I'm pushing forward, and then I see like Vader come up on the far left or something, and I start like walking towards him because I know I need to protect him in that particular situation. And there's just stormtroopers kind of like falling back and forth, and then it goes back to the shot. Now I'm like at mid bust, and then it like cuts back, and it shows me on the ground basically, and there's just like blood all around, and there's a bunch of stormtroopers and stuff. And like Vader's walking in somewhere, and he like goes off to the side, and then it cuts back to me, and it's just at my head, and then it goes back to maybe me on the ground, and like Vader's walking out this time or something like that, and it looks like we've taken the base, but no one's tended to me yet, and I'm just laying on the ground, and someone comes over and picks me up, says like, "Good work, soldier." Then it like goes back to my face pan, and then it cuts to something else entirely.
Cool. And what's the look on your face like when we get the slow pan up and we finally see your face? What's the expression?
It's just like very stoic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like I'm not smiling or anything. I'm just like very stoic. Like I'm just in the moment.
Looking.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Great. Cool. So yeah, we cut away from the back to tank. Maybe just some like bubbles like floating up to the top. And and so where are the intelligence branch of this team? Belsa and Theron, where are the two of you?
I'm in the office just like rapping on the console and just waiting, like patiently waiting to see how things unfold and see if my grand master plan is going as I imagined.
Okay. Belsa, what are you doing?
So Belsa's kind of like coming up with contingencies. She was obeying Theron, but like has a feeling that his broadcast didn't quite work as intended, and there might be some backlash. And so she's kind of like taking all of the possible outcomes into consideration. She's just on the data pad, just like typing away. And I guess we're all just kind of waiting for Lana to get back.
Okay. All right. Well, I think so the door opens. The other room just opens. Like nobody presses a button or like alerts you. The door opens and the little muffling comes in, and Dade looks pissed. He like storms into the room, and he's like, "Agents, if you're going to have someone murdered in my front hallway, I expect you to tell me about it first. I demand an explanation." And he like folds his arms over his chest.
Theron stands up and walks over to the boy and just backslaps him with his hand.
Oh man, that's what I wanted to do. Shit.
Just slaps him in the back, like across the face.
Yeah.
And without saying anything, goes and sits back down. He just doesn't even, just slaps him and then walks back to his chair and faces the terminal again.
Yeah, so he sort of stutters, like he like snaps his head sideways, and like he's got blood dripping from his nose. And he looks at you, Belsa, because you didn't just walk away from him, and he's like speechless. Like, do you say anything?
I just obviously I watch it happen, and then you see me type on the data pad, but like a small smile just like forms on Belsa's face. Like she doesn't like say anything, doesn't like give him any attention.
Yeah, and he sniffles and you can't tell if it's because he's like starting to cry or if he's just like sniffling because there's blood in his nose. But he's like, "My father will hear about this. You're maniacs. You're going to bring this entire palace down around us." And he like storms off.
Theron just like wheels sort of around in his chair, and he's like, "I honestly tried to give that boy a chance."
Awesome. All right, cool. Why don't we grab a break here?
Great.
And then we'll come back and see the next bit. See what happens after all this.
All right. Yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll go into hour 3 here of the Dark Side of Balanced Power, and then we'll come back and be in the light side later today. Make sure not to miss that. So we'll be right back, guys. More Balanced Power coming up. We'll see you guys then.